The first 4 questions are based on a passage. Take a couple of deep breaths, center yourself, and we start in 5 seconds. So here it is on your screen. Go ahead, give it a read. Once you are done, let me know in the comment box, and I will take you over to the next slide. Ha, Tina Bina. Read it? तो देखो, पढ़ते टाइम अगर कुछ भी ऐसा हो ना जो समझ में ना आए, तो उसे एटलीस्ट कहीं जॉट डाउन करके रख लीजिए. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू डू नॉट नो व्हाट ओल्ड टेस्टामेंट इज. यार बाद में गूगल कर लेना, नहीं तो मुझसे पूछ लेना. हाँ, या ऐसे कोई वर्ड्स आए. सो द होल आइडिया इज दैट वी कीप लर्निंग, वी कीप बिकमिंग better. Okay, here is the next paragraph. Okay, archetypal basically means typical of an original thing from which others are copied. So if I say an archetypal English gentleman, so there were these English gentlemen. He's a typical example of those gentlemen. So that's archetypal for you. Hi Prakhar. Okay, that's great. Virender, you notice we are using REM as capital letters. This tells you that it is an acronym. And if you have studied a bit of psychology, you know REM is rapid eye movement sleep. That part of the sleep where when we dream and the others, an observer is able to figure out that it is that we are dreaming, because in that phase our eyes actually, our eyeballs keep moving rapidly within our eyes. Right? Here is the next. बड़े कम लोगों ने बोला यार. डन क्या हुआ? टाइम ज्यादा लग रहा है. Okay, anyhow, here is the next paragraph. Okay, next. Terrific. Okay, so let's get into the questions. So here is the first question for you. Let's see what you answer. I could barely fit it onto the slide. What's your take? In all the indirect questions, we prefer working with elimination. That normally leads to greater certainties. Okay, so Nishant has set the ball rolling. Shri is also contributing. Okay, now first up, you notice in this particular passage, when you look at the first paragraph that introduces Jacob's ladder, it has not been presented as a scientific text. It has been presented as an incident, a story from the Old Testament. Now, if you look at A and D, they somehow think of that story as a scientific text, as something which is relevant. And that is why A and D can in reality be ruled out. So even if you look at it, analyzing how the analogy of Jacob's ladder could help us understand the dynamics of REM sleep structure. And then the other thing, another problem with D is that it is narrow. It talks about the first half, but it ignores the second half. You notice that at multiple places we have used this word phenomenology or phenomenological studies. So phenomenological studies are studies that focus on the experience of an individual instead of the thing itself. Okay, so in philosophy, phenomenology is relating to someone's awareness or experience of something rather than the thing itself. So dreams are abstract. So neurological perspective ignores dreams, but then people do experience dreams. And there is some literature that talks about their impact. So studying that experience. So the last paragraph, in fact, the last paragraph and a half, talk about focusing on that aspect as well. And D misses out on mentioning it. So A and D are ruled out. All of you have managed to eliminate option C. So let's eliminate it. You're absolutely right in that. The best answer choice for us is B, and you can see the B towards the end talks about the integration of the two aspects. Okay, so whenever it comes to main idea questions, in fact a couple of you were there in the class with me yesterday. I hope you're using that particular structure, that particular approach that I shared. Start with the subject matter plus purpose, and then whenever you are stuck, treat them as essay topics. Wrong answer choices can be narrow, broad, irrelevant, or contradictory. Utilize all those things to become better. Okay, here is the next one. Give me a title. And here is a hint for you. It is all about choosing the best answer choice. The absolute best may not even be there. I'm sure some of you can give it a better title, but Virender, physiological means related to the body, related to the physical body. So what is this passage focusing on? This passage is focusing on the REM/dreaming state, where the author tells us that it is very fascinating, it is very important. However, neurological perspective focuses only on these benefits and ignores the dreams. Dreams are thought of as byproducts, whereas a lot of other areas, subject matters like philosophy, psychology, etc., associate some sort of importance to the dreams as well, and we should study both of these things. That's the gist, right? Dreams are important. They should also be studied phenomenologically and not be restricted only to the physiological benefits of REM dreaming. So now in this context, is Jacob really important? That was the first paragraph. First paragraph is supposed to be what? An introduction. Introductions are supposed to catch your attention. Beyond that, it is not about Jacob and dreams. It is not about Jacob's ladder and dreams. It was just used to ease you into a complex area. So that essentially leaves us with A and C. C is going to be narrow. That is just the second last paragraph. It is mentioned, but it is not the core focus. And therefore, the best answer choice for us is A. And this authentic self is actually coming from the phenomenological studies, the experiences that you have with dreams. So if you start eliminating, you would realize that B, C, and D were easy to rule out. And here is another associated question. Here it is. So Shri, if there are no options available, then yes, these are subjective, but the moment options are available, you are restricted to choosing the best option from the given lot. And once we are done with this question, I'll talk a little more. Let's see. So question number 3, purpose of the Jacob's ladder incident mentioned in the first paragraph. Okay. Does it emphasize this association being very old? Does this emphasize? I should take you back to the paragraph. I think our inability to put it in the context has created a problem in multiple questions now. Read this again. So here is a story. Then discussion of some of the metaphors. So see, one metaphor. Now, has it been used to say that mankind has been interested in dreams or has associated meaning with dreams since millennia? No. it merely introduces a story and then uses that story to create an analogy so that we are able to understand waking and dreaming, consciousness and the unconscious. And thereafter, even here, is just an extension of the analogy. It might represent the structure of REM sleep. So there is no mention of this being something that is old. So D can be eliminated. Was this example irrelevant? No, it acted as an analogy. So B can also be eliminated. So that leaves us with A and C. Both of them talk about introduction. A says to catch the interest of the reader to read the article. That's the job of a title. C talks about interesting introduction to the structure of REM. Now between the two, we know that the story is designed to catch our attention, yes. It's supposed to be interesting, yes. But it has also been used as an analogy, and that is why C should be better than A. And now to answer Sri's question, that different people can actually go ahead and interpret it in different ways. And you are right. Life is at the end of the day subjective. We cannot boil things down to a formula, but here are a couple of things that I want to talk about. Number one, it is all about taking decisions, right? So what is a decision? Decision essentially, if you look at the word etymologically, decision means to cut away, right? So at any given point of time, we find ourselves standing and there are some options that exist. In that moment, there are certain things that we can do. So decision is all about cutting away all of these options except one, and the last one that's standing is the one that you execute, the one that you walk on. So decision is all about cutting away. Now come to think of it right now, what is it that you would want ideally? Ideally, most of us would probably want to get into Harvard Business School, right? We would perhaps want to get married to our crush, somebody who's 10 on 10 and is a perfect husband material or wife material or whatever, and then live in a particular city, a particular country where there is no pollution, great public transport, lot of gardens, right? That's the ideal. But then, are we really focusing on those things? Are we really targeting that? We are realistic, we are pragmatic. There are options that are available in front of us. We basically try to choose one of those. So it's the same thing here. If I give you just the question without the answer choices, then it is subjective. But the moment the options are given, you can always figure out what the best one is. And in fact, one of the things that predict our success in life and in these questions is our ability to deal with uncertainty. If you can deal with that uncertainty better, if you can just try to get closer to the truth, you would actually end up choosing the right answer choice. Okay, so here is the next one, question number 4. And in fact, when you talk about ZAT, remember ZAT has an entire section called decision making. Last year it was easy, but usually it can be made very ambiguous. The similar thought process that you need for acing that section as well. So let's just use RCs to practice that ability too. Which of these can follow the concluding sentence of the article? Just use your seeker to go back to the right part and then answer it. So it ends with a question. So ideally, you would either put another question or an answer to the question. So you're absolutely spot on. C, because it presents that answer, becomes our best answer choice. So that's about the RC, and now you have two questions which are the 5 sentences labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the moment we see 5 sentences, we instinctively think, oh, odd one out, because we get 5 sentences and we need to choose one. But then read on. These 5 sentences, when properly sequenced, form a coherent paragraph. So decide on that proper order and then share it in the comment box. So this time around, I have chosen to give you 2 5-sentence type para jumbles. There are 5 sentences that you need to arrange in the right order. For the last 2-3 years, the IMs are giving us 4-sentence para jumbles, but prior to that, we've actually had to deal with 5-sentence questions in the exam. So this is going to maybe increase the length a bit. Okay, so here is the question for you. Please go through it and share your answer with me. Take your time. I think up to 90 seconds is absolutely okay. Even if you take 120 seconds, it'll be fine. When you start going beyond that, it may become a matter of concern. Then we may need to work on it. Please start. Should I start pitching in? So I have gone on to highlight a lot of things that I would use to arrange all of these sentences into a particular sequence. So shall we? So notice third is talking about this is not exciting because of, and it is not even exciting because of. So and needs to have a similar idea before. That similar idea is given by 3. So that tells me that 3 and 2 must go together. Then this is not exciting because of the absolute energy release that was small, only enough to boil 2 or 3 kettles. This has to come after first, because first is the one where we are talking about some energy getting released. So there you go. And then look at fifth. But this is exciting because it is the first scientific proof. Needed contrast. So 3 and 2 talking about not exciting. Fifth talking about it is exciting. So you need to put it after 3 and 2. And if you look at, so that basically leaves us with fourth. Where should I place fourth? It is only when you fire something into a fuel that the rest of the process can happen. So 4 needs to come even before 1. So overall, if I combine all of this, the sequence should be 4, 1, 3, 2, 5. I would call it an easy to moderate question, primarily because it has a lot of word-based clues, and whenever that happens, the process becomes easy. So Sri, if you put fifth, Nishant, Sri, if you put fifth after first, how would you justify the use of the word but? You need contrast, right? And that contrast is not given by 4 or 1. So that is why fifth is coming after 3 and 2. Okay, here is your next question. Go ahead, give this one a shot. So what's your take? Should I once again underline stuff? Okay. So we have two answers so far, one from Nishant, another from Tina. Nishant is revising. So let's see. I think, see, fourth is talking about burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil, increasing the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, CO2. So you notice wherever CO2 is mentioned, it automatically needs to come after sentence 4 plus. Look at sentence first. This increase happens because the coal or oil burning process combines. So this tells you how those activities of burning coal and oil lead to increased carbon dioxide. So 4 and 1 definitely go in together. So 4 and 1 definitely together. What else? Where do I put sentence number 2? Then notice fifth starts with to a lesser extent. So think of these and hopefully we will be able to figure something out. Now 4 and 1 are together. So the only two possibilities for 2 are that we can either say 412 or it is going to be 32. So 2 definitely requires something which talks about increase. Now when I put 1 and 2 together, this increase sounds a little absurd. And distinctive isotopic fingerprint in the atmosphere. And since we are talking about atmosphere, third sounds better. It actually puts a label to it as well. And then fifth should definitely come after 4. Why should come after 4? Fourth talks about burning of fossil fuels, and fifth says to a lesser extent these are also things that are responsible for the increase. And then you notice fifth introduces agriculture, industry and other human activities. So considering that the industry is being mentioned here, introduce 2. So you notice that position of 1 was a little important for us. So that's the best one available. And with that, let's get into one more question. Just use those clues, okay? Get into one more question, but this time around, I'm giving you a parajumble, yes, but it does not have 4 sentences. It does not even have 5 sentences. This time around, it happens to have 6 sentences for you to arrange. And here it is on the screen. 6 sentences, please go ahead and arrange them and tell me the best sequence that these 6 sentences require. मतलब इससे ज़्यादा क्या ही करेंगे यार पेपर में हमारे साथ 6 सेंटेंस दे देंगे एक क्वेश्चन के लिए. Oh, Riya, a little late to the party today. What happened? सर कोई बात नहीं, अभी बाद में 1.5x पे सॉल्व करियो अपने पेस पे. So Bucardos is a common name for this particular goat. So let me share my answer with you. So here it is. And then we can discuss it. So I think 4652 should not be an issue for most of us. The only place where we had to be a little conscious was where does 4 go? Immediately after 3, or then is it 314? So third introduces several species, but thereafter, the moment you put in first here, you're talking about one specific subspecies, and it is that specific subspecies which has died. So therefore, it's important for us to have the transition between 3 and 1. And thereafter, I think 4652 is something that most of us could figure out very easily. So that's about Parajumbles. If you like the session so far, don't forget to give it a like, give it a thumbs up. And here is the food for our brain as well. Every success story is a tale of constant adaptation, revision, and change, right? That is why we insist that you write a lot of mock exams or section tests. That learning helps you and write multiple mocks and then keep adapting.